See if we get enough lighting in here. Get ready to go live. Let's see here. All right. Let's see, is that better? There, greetings. Welcome everyone to Dorsey's Resource. We're going live. Just starting off, the topic of this video is going to be, is big tech censorship, election meddling, Q&A, in my opinion. By the way, I've got some notes here, so I'm also going to be taking some questions for the time being that I have. I've been trying to come to you guys before later. I was working on a topic, but I decided to change that topic as of some recent events. So this is also Q&A session. This will depend on how many people we get into the chat section. So I wanted to talk about that video that was removed where those doctors held a press conference that went public as well with their findings about hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and something else. I noticed I've never seen where three major social media sites, websites, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, all in coordination would take down one video or different videos of these doctors going public. The shorter video, you have other edited versions that people cut up. There are alternative web hosting social media platform sites. I want to encourage you guys to join. I'll go over that as well. But as usual, before I get started into things, I like to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for any misuse of this information. These are simply my opinions on the topic. Everyone is responsible for their own affairs. With that being said, all rights are reserved. This is also going to be open Q&A. So I'm going to be going back. I have some notes with me from my webcam. But the title of this video's title is Big Tech Censorship, Election Meddling. I have some articles I want to show you guys. I'm going to be switching back and forth. Don't hesitate. If you have any questions, this is the best time to reach me. As of the time being, I don't really do private consultations, but I have an update in regards to that. By the way, hopefully I shouldn't forget to go over that. By the way, I have some notes here with me in regards for those who in the past I got some inquiries that wanted to contact me privately, and kudos to you guys that still do follow my channel, by the way. So don't hesitate to jump in the chat. So to get into the topic, once again, I do have an article pulled up. It's Big Tech Censorship, Election Meddling. I noticed there was this video that came out with these doctors did it like a press conference, and it was immediately removed in a quick, fast, coordinated effort by the big tech companies. I also did watch some of the hearings that took place earlier today, the 29th, by the way, of July, that I was looking at earlier, and that was very interesting, where the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, I believe that's his name, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, of course, Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, and Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. I think one person that was missing was Bill Gates and Microsoft. They have also been highly involved in this as well, and in other egregious activities. And I'm going to give my opinions about that, by the way. So let me get into my notes here with me. Censorship like this is a form of discriminatory practices. I talked about this a while ago when certain individuals were deplatformed. I've seen this before, but not at this level of magnitude where it's just happened just like that, where there was this coordinated effort where this video was just taken down very abruptly, by the way. And I have two different personal Facebook accounts that I posted it to. And I had a relative who texted me, I won't say who, that told me she was actually going to comment on my video, on that video in particular, and noticed that it was removed. And I was actually logged into one of my other Facebook accounts, and it was also taken down. So I said, I've never seen that before. I've had videos censored, but it had to do with like copyright. If there was music or something like a music video or whatever I had playing, I can understand for copyright purposes. But this video, in my opinion, was these doctors were coming out as whistleblowers. In case you all are not aware, this happened. Trying to think of the date. Sometimes I lose track of the days, which is rare because I'm on a graveyard shift. But I believe today is Wednesday, so this happened Tuesday, the 28th, which was yesterday. Today is the 29th. I know for sure it happened on the 28th, and they were coming out, and I heard there was even a state representative here in Michigan that even mentioned how hydroxychloroquine had benefited her, by the way, and she was blacklisted by the Democratic Party. I did save the article. It would take me a while. If you guys want me to pull that up, just let me know. By the way, I see some of you all joined in the chat. I appreciate you all. Anita says hello. Greetings to you. Thank you for joining. Andre Butler says peace. Peace to you. Greetings. Thank you for joining. Tanya Reynolds says hello. Dorsey, thank you for joining as well. Rose Ty says, I guess Bill is too busy pretending to be a scientist. That's funny. Sonia Johnson says, hey, Dorsey, greetings. Thank you all for joining so far. So in case you are not aware, many of you are probably already aware if you've been following the news. Alternative media is huge. I commend all of those out there that are free thinkers that have started their own social media web hosting platforms because they knew that this was coming. I think it's important that these big tech giants, in my opinion, are broken up. And to go over some of the reasons they are, this is a form of, in my opinion, election meddling. This is the tampering. And this branches into, I had a relative or some people that I know were upset about Roger Stone situation, and there was no Russia collusion. That was all bogus. That was an absolute hoax. That was a farce. And I have an article to prove right what happened in Detroit that I'm going to get to. A couple articles I pulled up, by the way, where I can jump into really quick, where this is an older article where you guys can see, you may not be able to see it too well because I can't see, but I'm showing you guys my computer screen where it says too many votes in 37% of Detroit precincts. This was published at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, December 12, 2016. This is an older article. I'll read some of it. It says voting machines in more than 1/3 of all of Detroit precincts registered more votes than they should have during the last month's presidential election. Now, mind you, this was back in 2016, by the way. It says, according to Wayne County records prepared at the request of the Detroit News, detailed reports from the office of Wayne County Clerk Kathy Garrett shows optical scanners at 248 of the city's 662 precincts, or 37%, tabulated more ballots than the number of voters tallied by workers in the poll books. Voting irregularities in Detroit have spurred plans for an audit by Michigan Secretary of State Ruth Johnson's office. Elections Director Chris Thomas said Monday. Now, this is an older article that I'm reading from, just to let you guys know. I never saw the update from the Secretary of State in regards to this specifically, because I had questions. The midterms, there was actually an election official, someone who got in trouble for back in 2018 out of Southfield. I saw it on the news, and then I looked the article up. A friend of mine told me he saw it as well. He stays in the suburbs, so fortunately, I wasn't the only one who saw that article. They said it didn't interfere with the 2018 election, but prior that summer, Google had deplatformed this very popular radio talk show host whose name I won't say, by the way, and YouTube even went as far back then to censor just saying the name, his name, or even his website. And there were others. He wasn't the only one that was deplatformed. There were actually others prior to him that were just kicked off, and he was kicked off of multiple social media sites, websites. I would say he was the only one that I can think of that was kicked off of multiple social media sites in a coordinated effort. And this is, I want to, as I went over in the past, this is a form of torturous interference when a major mainstream media organization lobbies to have another media group shut down legally. In the legal realm, these are major violations, but because we have corrupt gatekeepers in certain positions, not everyone, this is why this is taking a long time, or some of these big companies have not seen penalties or fines or been reprimanded like as they should for these egregious activities and targeting individuals specifically is authoritarian and very discriminatory practices, no matter against whomever. This is a form of torturous interference. A federal judge ruled this reply section on Twitter was a public utility right to free speech some years ago. So this is supposed to be protected under the First Amendment. You're right. Even if someone disagrees, that's still your right to freedom of speech, as long as you're not inciting any type of violence or things of that sort. I had teachers many years ago that went over where you can't yell fire in a movie theater, things of that sort. But you are supposed to be entitled to your free speech. But because the over 90% of the tech companies and mainstream media are liberal, Democrat, progressive, they want to have a monopoly and a one-sided perspective, a one-sided agenda, which according even in journalism school, many people were taught, and even lawyers are supposed to be unbiased and fair. This is why it's called a justice system. But unfortunately, once again, you have gatekeepers and people in specific positions that practice partisan politics that are not being unbiased. That and this is mainly coming from the left, the leftists, by the way, the Democratic Progressive Liberal Party, by the way, which is not the same party of JFK, mind you, just to add emphasis. But these big tech companies register as public utilities, where many years ago, just like utility companies, where you get your water, your lights, telephone bill back in the Stone Age when people had the landline, were using those. They were not supposed to discriminate when they registered as this based on your political views or just because they didn't like you for your whatever. The same is supposed to apply on the internet sphere in the tech world, because they did register originally. It was found out Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, which was purchased some years ago by Google, Alphabet, their parent company, by the way, which is in control and has a lot of influence, and they've been coordinating behind the scenes, targeting individuals. So these are violations, major egregious violations. This is where I'm going over some of the laws. So the same rules are supposed to apply to other big tech companies in violation of antitrust laws, where these big tech giants, of course, once again, Facebook, Apple, Google, Microsoft, a lot of them running through Silicon Valley, have formed a monopoly and are attempting to silence their competitors. Amazon is involved in this as well. Microsoft, again, even though Bill Gates was absent at those hearings earlier today where they had to testify before Congress. And this is a form to influence elections, as I believe, in my humble opinion, this was significantly done in 2018. This is where they created a false narrative with that whole Russiagate thing situation. And there should be information coming out later on about the FISA abuse, the illegal surveillance that was done by the previous administration going in, which is not talked about, where this is a form of wiretapping. You had in the previous administration Operation Fast and Furious that involved a gun and drug running to the MS-13 Mexican drug cartels. You had the Pizzagate scandal with Podesta. You had Clinton, Benghazi under the previous administration. You had Lois Lerner, the IRS tax scandal, where they targeted members of the Tea Party. There were violations committed in that regard. You also had the murder of Justice Antonin Scalia, rest in peace, too. And why I believe why Roberts is, as of lately, has not been siding in favor of the conservative side is he was threatened in the previous administration. I heard privately his family members were threatening he himself if he didn't vote yes for the Affordable Care Act known as Obamacare, by the way. And this is why they also took out, in my humble opinion, from doing the research, it's not a coincidence, where it was foul play with the murder of Justice Antonin Scalia. That was a murder, a hit job, by the way. And this was done in the previous administration, even though the previous administration argues they had a scandal-free, squeaky clean presidency. Is far from true. There was a lot of problems inherited from the previous administration, by the way, that people often try to flip it around and say that before COVID hit, that Trump was benefiting from the previous administration's economy, and that is not true. By the way, even Donna Brazile, other people were coming out, and they were even blasted at the time during certain scandals that took place, like with the murder of Seth Rich and the DNC. He was allegedly the leaker to WikiLeaks, and that's what the Roger Stone situation was really about. Was involvement with WikiLeaks, where he was going public about, I guess, his connection to Julian Assange, because the whole Russia thing was created as a farce, by the way, and it involves the connection to the FISA abuse and the wiretapping. I don't have all my notes, so I'm just keeping it more basic, not going into, but some of you all are already advanced, more knowledgeable than myself in these regards. But this is why I titled this video, once again, is Big Tech Censorship, Election Meddling. This is also Q&A if you guys have any questions so far. See some more people have joined in the chat. Dr. Ed says, hello, brother, I'm here. Greetings to you. Thank you for joining. Jada Lynn says, hello, glad to catch you live. Thank you. Julia P. in Texas, thank you for joining. Says, God bless you. You are spot on. Thank you so far. I appreciate you all. And guys, if you can, don't be sure, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. You know, it lets the haters out there know it's like an unofficial way of voting. By the way, if you agree with what I'm saying overall, it also will help me rank higher in the search results. If you want this information, more people to find out, even despite the censorship, the suppression that's going on, where the big tech companies are trying to control and influence the results by changing their algorithms, suppressing voices that do not align with their ideology, political ideology, by the way. And let me see, we have someone else. Galactic Soul says, good to see you, Dorsey. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Thank you. So the article that I was reading from to finish, I was going over earlier. I'm going to go back to it so you guys can kind of see, was this is to prove that the whole 2016, the Russia thing, was a hoax. To see right here, this is not a coincidence, in my opinion, where this article says too many votes in 37% of Detroit's precincts were voting machines, and 1/3 of all of Detroit's precincts registered more votes than should have in last month's presidential election. I'll continue to read the second part. It says, Detroit voting irregularity spur state audit. The Detroit precincts are among those that couldn't be counted during a statewide presidential count that began last week and ended Friday. In case you guys are wondering, if you're just joining, this is Dorsey's Resource. I'm your host, John Dorsey, and I'm going over an article. This is an older article from 2016, and this is to prove and validate my point, and also ask a question to you guys about the big tech companies. There were congressional hearings today, and I already previously went over just not too long ago about the influence or election meddling, in my opinion, that's connected to the FISA abuse that took place by the previous administration. Says Democratic Hillary Clinton overwhelmingly prevailed in Detroit and Wayne County, but Republican President-elect Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,704 votes, on 47.5% to 47.3%. Overall, state records show 10.6% of the precincts in the 22 counties that began the retabulation process couldn't be counted because of state law that bars recounts for unbalanced precincts or ones with broken seals. The problems were the worst in Detroit, where discrepancies meant officials couldn't recount votes in 392 precincts, or nearly 60%, and 2/3 of those precincts had too many votes. By the way, now do you guys think that's a coincidence? By the way, I'm gonna switch the camera back. What I was reading so far was an older article. I have another article pulled up, but I don't think, in my opinion, that that is a coincidence that that took place so far. So, someone, Julia P, says, what are your thoughts on Trump pulling ads from Michigan today? I didn't hear about it, but in my opinion, if that took place, he's probably already aware. There definitely appears to be a lot going on with the way that the leftists are trying to clamp down with the control mechanisms, because I mean, there's just so much information to cover that's taking place, and I am on probably somewhat limited time. I'll try to be before you guys as long as I can go, because I do have to head in. I still punch a 9 to 5 just to give you guys a heads up. But my thoughts on Trump pulling ads, I didn't know about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. It could have something to do. Maybe he sees, because of the governor, they don't get along, and the attorney general is very biased. But I think, in my humble opinion, trying to figure out a way to how to articulate it. But the deep state, Soros, I heard, I don't have the articles on it, but I've heard about this from watching other alternative independent media sites, where he's bought up a lot of prosecutors around the country and given a lot of funding. I don't know where he gets all this money from. It's estimated he's worth $4 trillion. He owns the Tavistock Institute, even though he openly denied funding Black Lives Matter protests and Antifa. He came out recently and said he wants to increase the funding. So, interesting. Someone can lie with impunity, and where he's getting all this money from. How did he make all of this money? I've heard he's a front for the Federal Reserve banking system, the evil criminal cabal, and I'm not surprised. But maybe Trump sees that if he doesn't, I'm not sure. I don't know why he's pulling, what the exact reason why he's pulling the ads, but it could be a strategic move. He may see, no matter what, because the media, I noticed, is completely ganged up against him. The mainstream media, even local media here, from what people are seeing, are totally biased and in favor, because it's, like I said earlier, the media is 95% liberal controlled. And I want to say, in my opinion, even though I'm going over this information, I can go from a fair, balanced critique. I myself, I'm not personally a registered voter. I canceled my voter registration back in 2004. But if I was to register to vote, I would have no doubt voted for Trump. And I was somebody back in 2008. I donated $10 to Obama's campaign. And I heard a lot of people didn't even vote for him. A lot of Black people didn't vote for Obama when he went for his second term, because they saw that he wasn't really doing anything to help the Black community. That's why, in my opinion, BLM is a fraud. They need to focus on putting more fathers in the household. The problem with the Democratic Party is Democrats don't want a solution to the problem. They just want to profit off the issues. They want to drum up the issues by keep pushing the racism narrative, to keep gaining more power off these divisive issues. They're not truly trying to solve them, which approaches that will help put more fathers in the households, that will solve urban problems such as poverty, high crime. But they want to do it in a way that will benefit them, and where they'll solely have absolute power. And it's the same: power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. What I'm saying is the Republican Party, in my opinion, has a better pathway all around. I'm not saying does it right all of the wrongs. No, it doesn't. However, Democrats don't collectively address the needs of all of their supporters. For example, they will use Black men's deaths at the hands of police, the few that have happened, as a prop to champion another cause. We've seen how other groups have came in and hijacked the George Floyd protest, or whatever, what it's turned into. That's the police. They're just being used as a scapegoat, because the globalists, the ruling class elite, and they are real, aka the Illuminati. There's some people that try to say this is a conspiracy theory. No, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact. by the way. But what these different groups will do, the Democratic Party in particular, liberal, progressive, will champion other causes such as women's rights, LGBTQ, immigration, which don't focus on solving Black people's urban problems, which is why BLM is a fraud, such as poverty, high crime, lack of fathers in the household, which is a very important issue. You have over 70% of Black households are ran by single parents, most of them mothers, by the way, and other things. So it's funny how leftists love free speech until you disagree with them. When you talk about the manipulation, I went over this in a couple of videos ago. There were some books that I recommended. You can go back and check that out. I won't spoil it for you. I might could possibly bring it up, by the way. And another thing, there are those that argue that there was a big switch or change when Black people decided to vote Democrat. The majority of racists, according to minorities, were white people during the time period back in the 60s. There was a big switch mainly because of Kennedy. He was an outsider similar to Trump. He was not an establishment candidate, traditional establishment. The reason Trump is not paid, he's not bought off like a lot of other people have been compromised, because he's a billionaire. He's not bought off. And you know, a lot of people don't understand this. They say Trump is establishment, but I listened to Pastor Lindsey Williams, not trying to get religious on you all, who live with the elite of the world, who I heard this recently again. He stated he talked to his elite friends and they told him, they said, Trump is not one of us. So this is the fact that Trump is not part of their establishment group. And a lot of the people they use as gatekeepers. Let me go over, get a book for you guys. Is you want to read, you want to look into this organization right here, by the way. And I met the author of this book before in person, William Shinoblin. I had a relative that took me to a Bright Bible Prophecy Club meeting years ago. He spoke in Michigan. I think may have been in the Romulus area by the airport. Can't remember exactly, even though they would say Detroit because it's around the main metropolitan area, the outside part. But the original book I had was not given back to me, was not returned. He autographed the original book, so I repurchased this book because I want to have it in my notes. But this is where a lot of, not just this organization, but a lot of sororities, fraternities, they act as agents, gatekeepers for the ruling class. So when you talk about establishment, you need to look into the order it's referred to as, and also referred to as the craft, by the way. And you have good and bad within everything. But this, when you start to study and learn about the deep state, I'm just kind of speaking in code a little bit. It's important to do research. Also, I have the book by former Governor Jesse Ventura, by the way. He was former governor of Minnesota. Also, many of you all know he had a show on True TV. Many of you all may remember his background when he was on WWF, World Wrestling Federation, years ago. He's been a whistleblower, and he's more of a grassroots guy, blue collar guy, and he's exposed a lot. So this information is not a conspiracy theory, as some people will try to accuse it of, or Snoops will try to come out and debunk. And you know, when they do all these things, this is why I encourage everyone to do their research and homework. The government declassifies information, and this book goes over documents that they declassify from things that have actually happened historically. And you can corroborate a case when you investigate this information and see the deep state. A lot of the problems, the ruling class, the globalist Illuminati, they're using the Democratic Party, the Liberal Progressive Party, as a stronghold to push in their to bring in their new world order, one world order agenda. This is why it's not a coincidence. You've seen the video snatched immediately with the doctors that went public off of major platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all in a coordinated effort. And I do believe they need to be broken up with penalized for antitrust violations, which the NCAA, I'm glad that Ed O'Bannon won his lawsuit, by the way. And you know, antitrust laws were created to help to try to protect even small businesses, even because when these big corporations, they have these monopolies like this, it doesn't provide fair competition, and it really can crush small businesses just to keep it short and sweeter, without you guys can read in between the lines. And with the new technology that's coming in, so you need a fair system that's going to be more fairly regulated, because if something is not done, you will definitely never have a fair election again. They're trying to move not just to mail-in ballots, but even to electronic voting, or where you can vote from home because of the convenience or whatever. And when you get into electronic, it's things can be rigged. And I heard about what happened back in 2016. Not only took place in Michigan, but other states as well. I even heard Georgia, by the way, that some group had to come in and stop the votes they were trying to flip in favor for Hillary in the state of Georgia, because Trump was winning back in 2016. He was winning in a landslide. By the way, this is the actual numbers. He really actually won the popular vote. There was a lot of fraud that took place, like I just showed. They created that whole Russian narrative. I'm gonna go to another article, by the way, that I have pulled up, where it says right here, Michigan recount reveals voter fraud in Detroit. Then it has dash unproven. Michigan recount. This article was old. It's an older article from Politics by Rich Bueller and staff, December 15, 2016. And I'm going over these articles under the Fair Use Act for teaching purposes, for scholarship work, and for educational purposes. It says Michigan recount reveals voter fraud in Detroit. A 2016 election recount in Michigan requested by Green Party candidate Jill Stein has uncovered voter fraud in Detroit and Wayne County, Michigan. Okay, we get down. The truth: discrepancies in the number of ballots and recorded votes in Detroit and Wayne County have sparked an official audit, but state officials haven't yet ruled whether or not there was voter fraud in Detroit. There was definitely voter fraud, and we never received the update from that. By the way, this article that I'm reading from, the story began to unfold in early December when the Detroit News reported that as many as half the votes in Wayne County, which includes Detroit, could be eligible for a recount under state law, could be ineligible for a recount under state law because of problems with ballots. It says it's not good, conceded Daniel Baxter, elections director for the city of Detroit. He blamed the discrepancies on the city's decade-old voting machine, saying 87 optical scanners broke on election day. In my opinion, that's just an excuse. Reason there was overwhelming amount of voter fraud from the previous article that I read. I scroll down. Baxter said it's unlikely all 392 of the city's precincts with mismatched numbers will be disqualified from a recount, but a significant portion were disqualified because of the irregularities, which I don't find to be a coincidence, by the way, in relation to the other article that I was reading from earlier, where records show too many votes in 37% of Detroit's precincts, which that is a significant portion. By the way, you see here, scroll down. It says the problems were the worst in Detroit, where discrepancies meant officials couldn't recount votes in 392 precincts, or nearly 60%, and 2/3 of those precincts had too many votes. Well, too many votes, huh? By the way, coincidence, huh? Too many votes, huh? Very suspect. There's always going to be small problems to some degree, but we didn't expect the degree of problem we saw in Detroit. This isn't normal, said Krista Routinian, a chairwoman of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers. State officials are planning to examine about 20 precincts where ballot boxes open during the recount had fewer ballots than poll workers had recorded on election day. Let me read this part again. This is important for you guys in relation to this other article. This says state officials are planning to examine about 20 Detroit precincts where ballot boxes opened during the recount had fewer ballots than poll workers had recorded on election day. Poll workers, fewer than what they had recorded, huh? So you guys can see that this whole Russia thing, that was all, is made up, by the way. So I'm going to jump back in the chat really quick. Galactic Soul says, true. Hopefully, Julia, answered your question. I'm not sure why I didn't really answer your question about what my thoughts were while Trump was pulling the ass from Michigan. I don't know, maybe because he sees that there's a lot of corruption that's taking place where they're basically, the Democrats, they're doubling down, by the way, and the mainstream media, liberal media is ganged up. So I don't really have an answer. I wasn't aware of that. So I'll have to look into that, by the way. That'll be interesting if I can find out if there isn't any information online. But thank you for that. Julia P. in Texas says, yes, fact. Joseph Overson says, our current mayor comes from a Republican family, so his agenda is Trump. Today, the Fed came to the D. Soros money comes from the deep state. Our Secretary of State and Attorney General are too. Okay, I'm not sure which state you're in or what city is that, Joseph, if you don't mind mentioning it. Joseph Overson says Trump is doing what Kennedy failed to do. He's going to put us back on the gold standard, stacking that silver. Okay, good. Yes, the price of metals has been rising significantly, and I was contemplating on talking about that. I may do more videos in regards to that down the road, because we're in, I believe, a bull market right now. There's times to buy. As one person that's been advanced, that is, I will say, behind the scenes, I will never mention his name. One of the sources that I have stated to me that, because some people are saying it went above 20. Of course, many of you all that do follow the commodities market, precious metals, know the last time I checked, it was sitting just above $24 per ounce. Today I checked coinflation.com. There's others, Kitco, JM Bullion runs the charts, and he was saying some people think it's too high than what it was. The low, just back in March, I heard it was as low as $12. I didn't know. I remember silver did get pretty low, but I didn't know it had got as low as $12 an ounce back in March of this year, by the way. So some people think, I don't know, it could pull back significantly, something to pay attention to. But I would say, if now's the time to buy, don't hesitate. If you are not familiar, I've even informed relatives, friends, that if this elder source I was explaining to me, people will regret the day if silver goes up to $50 per ounce or $60. You'll look back and see when it was 24 and you were saying it was too high. What about when it goes to $50 or $100 or $200 an ounce? Because that day is going to come. I believe it's just a matter of time, of how long the price suppression is going to take place, the manipulation from the COMEX exchange, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the futures market. I heard more people were requesting delivery of their precious metals, even not just for silver, but even for gold. And they won't be able to match those demands because of the paper game that they're playing. So eventually the bubble has got to pop, because they can't keep playing this paper game, this manipulation. I also heard allegedly that from some future reports that the White House could possibly get involved and stop, or do something that Trump could even get involved to stop the manipulation of the metals, which has been the price of silver. It's not the real price. If you look at the national debt clock, which I'll see if I can pull that up really quick for you guys. Let me see if I can pull that, get to the national debt clock and show you guys in real time. By the way, see if I can move it over. Okay, you guys can see it's the U.S. national debt. It's at over 26 trillion. This is the debt per citizen, 80,000, over 80,000 per citizen, debt per taxpayer. Let's go to where you guys can see where the dollar to silver ratio. Let's read. Says it should be right now $3,988 per ounce. Dollars to silver ratio, this is what it was in 1913, $2.65 per ounce. This is what it was worth. Dollar to gold ratio, where gold should be, which is gold has been approaching 2,000, was at over 1900 the last time I checked. And it's easily should be there probably soon. The dollar to gold ratio should be $33,075 per ounce. Dollar to gold ratio. This is what it was in 1913. $28.79 per ounce. And if we scroll back up again, you look at silver, dollar to silver ratio, $3,988 per ounce. This is what it's supposed to be. Now, if I pull up, let's go to coin inflation. And this is the last time I checked. It was at $24.40 per ounce. And this is not including this, the premium that you have to pay. It's like a little extra per coin, per item, based on which type of volume you purchased it in, or whatever, or size. This is gold. Wow, gold had got up to 1,970. It's practically 2,000. So I'm gonna refresh the screen so you guys can see if it's still there. Okay, up, it dropped somewhat. So $24.28 is down. Now this varies a little bit from Kitco. By the way, if you guys can, I don't know if you guys can see that well. Actually, so now is an excellent time if you can get into the commodities, the metals market. You don't want to miss out. By the way, I have some notes in regards to that. By the way, I can go over. Someone I was speaking with, one of my private sources, was sharing with me the price of gold and silver going up is indication that we're on the edge of a financial collapse or some form of a collapse. They were explaining to me that if the derivative market pops, then the real price of silver will have to show up. By the way, if let me see here, the banks doesn't have anyone to sell. Okay, it says they were explaining that if the banks don't have anyone to sell their trillions of dollars of derivatives to, then it can cause the market to collapse. I was also informed by this individual many years ago. Many people don't know the banks used to send your personal checks back to you from your bank accounts after, I guess, you did a transaction or purchase. This is before my time, before I was really in the workforce like that, or utilizing. I've had a checking account, well, for some years now, but I didn't really, I won't go into that, really wrote checks at all. Because of the convenience, but he was explaining to me that banks started selling these instruments on the derivatives market. They would take the checks and kind of like in the redemption education, there's ways what these big corporations are doing behind the scenes, double dipping, blocking some of these discharges and stuff from going through are very egregious when they're not sharing with people how to do the proper tax assessment to get your value back that they're stealing from your, that's attached to your trust account. By the way, some call the secret account or whatnot. But this source that I have was explaining to me that the banks started selling these instruments. They used to send people's like paychecks, not paychecks necessarily, but they could probably turn those into derivatives as well. Those paper instruments. It's done digitally now, by the way. But the paper checks, he mentioned that they would sell these instruments on the derivatives market. By the way. Another thing, this is probably for later, I'll probably go over this again. Someone was explaining to me that the cabal has a problem with people teaching this type of information or sharing this type of information. They want to keep the general public dumbed down. Another thing about this so-called coin shortage that's taking place, this is just another preview, that the value of a nickel is no longer worth 5 cents, just like the pennies that predated, I think it was 1982 or certain portion of that year going back further. It's ways to tell the ones that were copper, that had full copper versus copper coated, ones that came out later. But the ones that were copper that predate that part of the year, you can look at some of the older pennies. They're actually worth 2 cents. So let's say if you had $1,000 worth of pennies, they're actually worth 2,000. by the way, because they're 2 cents. It's double what they are, and they may have gone up even since, from what was being explained to me at one time. So don't quote me exactly, but the price. So this could be another trick. Plus, some people mentioned how they're trying to bring us to a digital cashless society as well, as part of that agenda too, which in the future, this and by the way, copper is another item which in the future will be just like silver, by the way, because copper is an excellent conductor, is used in many products similar to silver. How silver is used in a lot of electronic devices where gold is hoarded. And there's some people that argue one day that silver will surpass the price of gold even, once things correct themselves. That's way further down the road because of when you're dealing with the miners that in the U.S. Mint, how there's shortages, and how the miners will have to go up on their prices because of these contracts that they have from big tech firms and companies worldwide to produce electronic devices and things that use these great conductors, these metals that are also used as great conductors. So because gold is hoarded, this is what was kind of explained to me some years ago. It's a little bit more in depth, but this is just a preview, by the way. Let me jump back in the chat, see if we got some more people. Says this message was held for review. I'm gonna put show message. Okay, Galactic Soul says, I know you don't have much time. Briefly, the RV. Well, if you're still watching, Galactic Soul, what's your question on RV? I can touch on it a little bit. So it says you have a question mark pertaining to the RV. I'll jump back to that statement right there. I'll touch on that just to let you know, Galactic Soul, in case you're still watching. Joseph Overson says, I am from Detroit. I am from Puritan and Rosa Parks. Okay, kudos to you. Says silver is expected to outprice gold, or outperform gold. Yes, I hear in the long run, there's no telling. We don't know exactly. Some of us are not fortune tellers, but the time is on the horizon. We're seeing great moves in both silver and gold, great records. So now is the time to buy. I would say buy definitely. Some of the individuals, certain individuals out there are not going to tell you this, but even if they were to push it, let's say it's over $24 per ounce. It dropped a little bit from what I just showed you guys at 24.28. Even if you purchase at this price, and then let's say Silver Eagles, you're going to pay higher, more than $4 or $5. It'll be maybe some places $8 to $10 above the premium. So they'll be around $30 per coin if there's containers of 20 in each container. So you can just do the math, go check around different sites, compare prices. Even I recommend buying in person. You want to hold the physical. For those of you all who can afford it, that don't have deep pockets. I don't know too much about that paper game, the futures market, but I hear a lot of people that are high rollers deal in those types of realms, and there's other types of paper or digital trading. But there's going to come a point in time with the new system that these it's going to be important to have the physical in your possession. By the way, as well as I say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I want to say on the side note, this is not legal. This is not financial advice. I did give a disclaimer earlier. So please consult with your financial advisor, commodities broker, securities broker. This is not securities advice. Everyone is responsible for their own affairs. All rights are reserved, just to give you guys a heads up, by the way, in doing this video. But yeah, even if they push the price back down, let's say even a $16 per ounce, you still the market's been volatile lately. I really don't see it going back that low. Not even maybe 19 or maybe past maybe 22 if they do something drastic. Because I heard that at the COMEX, the people have been calling in their orders for deliveries. I heard it's a process they have to go through that, but they won't be able to meet the physical demand, so they'll have to compensate these customers in a different format. But eventually the bubble is going to pop in the manipulation. They won't be able to continue keeping the price suppressed. But down the road, it's definitely expected there's going to come a point, a day and time when it's going to go out of control. And what I've been looking at lately, it's been holding steady. Like from yesterday, it dropped down a little bit, will drop down some more, but it was still standing around 24. And I saw this past weekend as it was shooting up. It's been very volatile, even gold as of lately. So you want to take advantage of these opportunities while you have the chance, because as a source that I had behind the scenes, I like the way he put things. When you talk to older people, elders, they have wisdom. Wisdom is a combination of experience, not just intelligence. Like I might have intelligence and I'm younger, but wisdom is a combination of having that experience. And they said to me, and I thought about it, it was genius, very genius statement. They said, if it hits $50 per ounce, people will be wishing that they will think this 24 is high right now, because some people saw not too long ago it was at 19, 18 bucks, even 17, even prior, and they're like they could have bought in at that earlier this year, but you may never see those prices again. You don't know. But even still, if you did buy in higher, don't feel bad, but hold on to it if you can. Whatever, I don't know what your budget is like, it would be a wise decision, but definitely you may not get this opportunity, especially when it shoots to 50 and just goes beyond that. And imagine the premiums are going to be higher once it gets to that amount as well. So you got to factor that in too, by the way. So someone asked me, Galactic Soul asked me about the dinar earlier, my thoughts on the RV. I did have some notes to discuss. I can jump ahead. I can come back to dealing with the RV. I listened to one update. I would have to analyze it because there's several different types of intel providers. I listened to Fleming recently, and I had to analyze that. But the notes that I have already, that with these commodities prices going up, that this is indication that the RV is tied in. There's some things going on with the Chinese, some deals that have to be made, but it looks like they always can be pushed back, but things are getting close because they have to satisfy some of these loans that they had or deals that were made to the Chinese. I hear that the Dragon family is involved with the Zimbabwe, by the way, which is all tied in with this dinar dong revaluation, global currency reset. And this was supposed to happen many times in the past. I will say I did have direct confirmation some years ago from a source that it did show up on Forex late one night. And shortly after, I had heard on a conference call, a lead moderator discuss this. And prior, he mentioned this had happened before. I heard allegedly for VIP people who already had deep pockets of political power, they've been able to exchange, and some people as early as 2014. And I noticed there was a brick and mortar currency exchange dealer that I contacted maybe a couple to a few years ago. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't a long time ago. It's like a couple to a few years ago. And this coin dealer, they were a physical dealer. They were in Birmingham, Michigan. And they stated at the time that as of August of 2014, they stopped selling the dinar. Well, I noticed the other physical dealer in the area still did from the time. I don't know if that dealer still has it or whatever. I don't check as much. I've diversified, in my opinion, if you get involved in investments. But once again, this is not financial, legal, or tax advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent consultant or professional, it is encouraged you do so at your own leisure. By the way, I'm just giving my opinion from my experience, by the way. But to answer the question dealing with the dinar, I think it's close, but we have to be patient as things are progressing, moving forward, by the way. So hopefully that answer that helped out your statement, Galactic Soul, by the way. Joseph says, it is expected that something big is to pop in October. Okay, I did hear about that before. October surprise, by the way. Historically, when you study history, a lot of times the cabal, they use symbolism as well. So, we could see, but I don't want to make any definite predictions, just something to keep an eye on. But I think things are good as long as you're doing the right things to prepare. In preparation, the time is now. It's important to definitely prepare, by the way. Okay. Gerald Joke says, thank you for the super chat. Gerald says, what's the best trust to stash the RV money in, aka Ghost Protocol? By the way, well, that I would have to talk, discuss with you privately, more so because YouTube is public. But I do give it, and of course, it would be in my opinion. By no means am I expert. I do have knowledge of some of the elite trust I've heard about from some of the sources, contacts that I have, but and kind of trying to explain these things. They've changed things as well. So what you can do is shoot me an email at the letter J as in John 279 Dorsey at gmail.com. The letter J 279 and Dorsey spell Delta Oscar Roberto Safety Edward Yolanda Dorsey at gmail.com. J279 Dorsey at gmail.com. And I can answer that. Just remind me, and I can, give maybe a short statement, but that would get into, legal advice. And I did have an update before I forget in regards what I'm going to have to work on for those who wanted to contact me. From now on, I'm going to be having to make some changes. I've helped out a lot of people in the past, just so you guys know. I may not go into as much detail, but I received an email from someone not too long ago from a previous video that I did very recently that wanted to contact me. I didn't have any problem, but I have mentioned in the past that I needed to know for serious inquiries only, and I needed the specific reason to be stated. But to make a long story short, I'm having to make these changes because of this individual did this. They sent me her and her husband's, it appeared to be their private tax documents. And I want to let you guys know, I do not request private tax documents or telephone numbers from people. By the way, I didn't have private consultation set up, but however, as the saying goes, give the people what they want, give the audience what they want. So from now on, if anybody wants to contact me privately in regards to anything, $50 donation is going to be required for a half-hour private coaching, or and another $50 for an additional half hour, which will equal $100 per hour. This will also show me how serious some people are, so they won't be taking advantage of me, because I am still punching the clock. By the way, I do still work a 9-to-5 job, just over broke. By the way, dealing with being an indentured servant, slavery is going on in a different form, by the way. So based on my intellectual property, I will be giving you an inside look, much more in depth versus things I don't discuss publicly on here. I can go a lot more in depth, and I'm still working on the Patreon account down the road. Had I done that previously, which is not difficult to set up, I just forget about it because of my schedule. I have to get better with my time management. I had a former girlfriend that actually majored in organizational management, because when you're involved nowadays, we have a lot of different disciplines to keep up with. I have a friend that studies survival prep in that discipline, by the way. So I want to learn as much as possible. I do, just like other people, update the type of information that I try to learn, as well as, for example, there was a content creator, Luke Radowski. He has a YouTube channel with We Are Change, and he mentioned it may not be his main discipline, but he had been taking gun classes for like self-defense or whatever. So different people have different disciplines, and these types of things take up extra time dealing with pertaining to your domestic duties. So by the way, this update, I want to go over again the reason I'm going to start requiring a donation. Most likely will have to be for my I'll have to provide the link for PayPal. I have to come back to you guys, but the Cash App that I have, if you want to contact me privately for private coaching, I would say, I'm not going to call it consultation, but private coaching, I'm going to require a $50 donation for a half hour. If you want an additional half hour, it would be an additional $50. Once again, this will show me how serious some people are, so they won't be taking advantage, because my time is serious right now. If my ship had already sailed through, by the way, had come through, I would have more time. I wouldn't have had a problem a long time ago sharing the information and the things that I know that I like to do. But a lot of people have privately asked me my opinion about topics, and I've given a lot of free information. This has involved very lucrative ideas and even investment decisions, by the way. So this way I will begin to manage my clients versus this will also help keep down on people who are trolls fishing for free information without doing their homework or topics that they're not well trained in, and they want to come back if something doesn't work out. They want to come back and have someone to blame, by the way. And this way you'll get an inside look. I'll be able to share things with you that I don't discuss on here once again, even though some of my close friends have said I give out too much information. I have been told that before, and that's fine in the past, but I'm making this change, and that's the big announcement that I had to make. I do appreciate you guys for continuing to follow me. Those who do donate, have donated previously, appreciate you. I will still try to get you guys the information, good quality information. By the way, despite that, when I do more lives down the road, this is the best time to ask me questions, the questions that I can answer, by the way, that are not too sensitive, by the way, that will require like a private email or private coaching. So this way it won't be tying up things. A lot of people won't be tying up all my time over the phone, because in the past I've sent people big webinars, which a few people know how to do. I'm one of a few people that know how to do that through Gmail, by the way. So another thing, if you want me to send you any webinars, it will cost $250 donation if you're interested in, by the way. So for just let me know whatever information you need, as well as templates for documents. So that'll be separate from consultation. So I'm working on, these are my prices so far. I have to do this in this type of manner, and it'll be a form of private coaching. By the way, that's if you feel if it's necessary. If not, I'm not out here panhandling, looking for people. But if you feel it's serious for anything, you want to contact me now, and that's because of this. Someone in DC, I don't mind answering questions. It appears to be they're out of the DC area. By the way, I don't request private documents from people, but we didn't have an attorney-client relationship set up, or that form of where they were official client, to just where I requested to have their documents processed. I don't do data processing either, and I'll explain more details. But what I am good at, and a lot of people have benefited off of my information, is definitely coaching, and some of the things that I have shared privately. And there are things that I haven't shared, and things that, based on my experience from pertaining to redemption information and other things, I am knowledgeable of. I had someone who contacted me not too long ago about their QSIP number, the money that was being made off of them while they were in prison. And they actually told me that I was the only person so far that recognized the document that they had sent to me, by the way. And if I told them they were looking for someone who could get the funding for that, and I explained to them I'm not at that particular level where I know how to do that, but I was able to direct them to someone I felt that had the experience that could point them in the right direction, that dealt with a broker, a securities broker, that could get that type of information privately, by the way. And they said they would compensate me down the road, maybe a finder's fee or whatever. If they do decide to do that, I appreciate it, but no love lost. I love networking with different people, and they share some very powerful information with me. Now, there are exceptions to the rules for those who want to contact me as well privately. I had requested in the past, I went over the specific criteria of the specific type of people that I was looking for, by the way. And I'll see if I still have some notes on that. There were specific people that I was looking for pertaining to my qualifications. For those who wanted to contact me privately, I was looking for, see if I have it set up anywhere near here. I don't want to lose this page. Get back to the chat so you guys can see me. Key definitions, research, investigate. Okay, don't want to lose that. I've got some notes here, so guys, just bear with me. I'm going over the qualifications for those who do not require a donation to contact me. The people that I was looking for, the criteria. I did go over this in previous videos, by the way, and should be in this notebook that I have, by the way. It's just getting old. Okay, let's see if I can find. Hopefully, I don't have it bookmarked. Did I skip some pages? Okay, that's not it. Okay. I'll just go off the top of the head if I can't find. But I was really looking for members of, and some people told me that know me privately, said that I wouldn't most likely find individuals, but I was looking for a member of the private sector, someone who knew how to access the discharges, how to successfully make them go through, someone that has experience, and this will be rare. And there's only very few people who come close to meeting the exceptions. These are people who want to contact me that wouldn't require a donation at all, that will want to show a brother love or whatever, that I put it out there, that and it was some other things, that has experience pertaining to the DTC, or someone that knows how to access the TDA accounts, that knows how to get the funding, someone as well that they could meet that criteria, that knows how I would be able to access the funding, because that would help me alleviate me having to punch the clock, go to this 9-to-5 job. Therefore, I would have more time to do videos or help you guys out privately without even having to require a donation or anything of that sort. Was my ultimate goal some years ago. But I'm looking for someone, maybe a member of the private sector, the elite private free sector, because there is a difference, who knows how to access the DTC, that stands for Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. I know this would be rare. I had people tell me you won't find no one like that. And they mentioned it's only one person that they know of, and I won't go over that. But I'm just putting it out there so you guys would know, because it's serious. I feel they're using the financial, not just the tech companies. We have a problem with the monopoly, but many of you all that know the history with the Federal Reserve banking system, I feel there's those of us who already were aware that study this redemption information when I attended this private event some years ago should have been taken care of. And I want to say they're still holding my private documents, my birth certificate, my social security card. I don't know what happened. We were promised many years ago we were going to get our package back. I was even promised multiple occasions that we were going to be funded, but then they came down the road and said that we wouldn't get any funding until the reset happened. But it's like false promises, false hopes, and false dreams. And you want to know something tangible, especially if you submitted private personal documents. They would qualify as securities instruments because of birth certificate, social security card, as well as other important banking documents and private personal information that had social security numbers and these other forms, and banking information as well, by the way, that could be used by individuals if they don't have good intentions. By the way, if there was malicious intent, it's concerning. And I've been waiting multiple years for these types of things to take place. But I'm looking for a good member of the private sector. I would keep your name private, who you were, or whatever. You would have a friend for life, because the way I would look at it is, though, I'm someone who's still in the public sector that is trying to free myself and go private. I would look at it as you helped rescue me out of the public sector, and I would never forget you. You would have a friend for life. I mean, I'm a loyal person, but I only give my loyalty based on, there's a saying, do unto others as you have them do unto you, by the way. But that would be something I wouldn't forget. I would be able to establish strong allies of that sort. If there is anyone out there that has that skill set, or has been fortunate enough to be blessed to be born into knowing this type of information. So it sounds like I'm speaking in code, by the way, but there are individuals, members of the private sector out there. There are elites, ruling class elites amongst us. Not all of them I think are evil or bad. I don't put like all billionaires or rich people. I had one friend mention, he said he felt that all rich people were evil or bad. By the way, I won't say that. I think there are those that are good, and then they have children and maybe grandchildren and that maybe want to change the world and truly do good and help humanity, not try to control or destroy humanity with malicious activities through vaccinations or depopulation or things of that sort. But members of the good cabal, I'm asking, if you don't mind reaching out, brother, would greatly appreciate it. You can send me an email to j279dorsey@gmail.com. I understand, I've heard about Proton is more private, but I figure a lot of information, Proton Mail, a background check from what I understand, can still be ran, that can be penetrated, by the way. And there's certain individuals that have access to quantum computing systems that can decrypt some of your toughest encryptions too, by the way. So a lot of information is not private anymore. Not saying that those who want to be private, but if you are a member, you meet those qualifications, I will keep your name, whoever you are, private, by the way. They're between us. If you know how to access the discharges, the TDAs without no reversals, where you know how to fill out the application to the Federal Reserve website, frbservices.org, if you know how to fill out the application for the black card, if you know a way how I would be able to get access to funding, you know, where I could get out of this 9-to-5 job. I know there's a way because of that event I attended some years ago, but when they shut everything down, they left the rest of us hanging, allegedly because people, certain individuals messed up. There was reports of people not following the rules. And because they don't see us individually, I asked a friend of mine this who studied eschatology, who's like the equivalent of a 5-star historian, very knowledgeable, can speak multiple languages, studied linguistics, things of that sort, told me they don't see us as one individual, they see us as a whole, by the way. I heard they did change the rules some years later, but I spoke to a source recently that said they still may see things like that. They still, because they say when one person in the family messes up, it messes it up for everybody else. And I don't understand. That rule should not be in place. They should go, if one person messes up, they should be reprimanded to that degree, in my humble opinion. Everyone else should not be affected. So there's people who got a chance to access that card that I showed in the video, that black card, where myself and many others did not get the opportunity because of a few bad apples or rotten apples out there. Unfortunately, that's what they told us. This was stated to me, and this was confirmed. This was even brought up when the individual resurfaced last year in 2019, by the way. Won't harp on that. But hopefully, thank you once again, Gerald, for the super chat. Hopefully, I'm going to get back into the chat section. Also, I want to announce, by the way, before I forget, because the title of this video topic was is Big Tech Censorship Election Meddling ? Q&A, in my opinion. This is also question answer. I'm gonna get back to the chat section. I wanted to go over, there are alternative platforms, web hosting platforms. I would say start creating a membership and get on now too. We got to get off YouTube. One of them I already have. I do have a Brighteon account. I have to follow up on it. I haven't created a password username, but I would have to put Dorsey's research if I want to create a page, so you guys will have a backup. I'm also on minds.com. Minds.com is also another backup. I posted that video that was banned. Just go to minds.com//Dorsey's resource. You have to create a username and ID and everything for that. Just follow the details. It's Minds, M is in Matthew, I is in Icarus, N is in Nancy, D is in David, S is in Sally, minds.com. By the way, I'm on there at /Dorsey's resource. I posted the link in some of my previous videos. If I don't forget, that's a good alternative platform. You also have gab.ai, by the way, that's going through some things. But Brighteon, you can create a membership on as well, and band.video, by the way. You want to go www.brighteon.com. Brighteon is spelled B as in boy, R as in Roberto, I as in Icarus, G as in girl, H as in help, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, O as in operation, N as in Nancy, Brighteon.com. You also, I recommend another top social media site to create a membership on, This individual, I won't say the name, welcome other content creators to their platform. If you've been censored through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and they've been doing an excellent job, it's ban.video. You want to go to ban.video, spelled B as in boy, A as in Allen, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, D as in dog, .video / just type it in Google, Yahoo search engine. But it's a good alternative web hosting platform, excellent information. And both of these sites, Brighteon and Band.video, also has that video. I have to finish watching it. I want to see the extended version. I watched the shorter version with one of the doctors and reposted it and was amazed that I've never seen it where YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter all in coordination took the one video down. And I had two private Facebook accounts separate from my other account from my channel, by the way. And they were all these social media sites took it down. Even many YouTube people who reposted the video from yesterday, the 28th of July this year, 2020. Also, one other one I recommend. There's many other social media sites, but I recommend just encourage you guys because of the big tech censorship. I wanted to bring this up before I forget, before I get back in the chat section. This is important that we get on other web hosting platforms because many of us knew this was coming with the censorship between YouTube and Google, the big tech companies wanting to have monopolies, Facebook, Amazon being involved. I even heard Amazon wanted to get in the video game industry, just like Google has with the Google Stadia, by the way. So if something's not done, these big tech companies, my one friend says in the future, it can get so bad where you just have, one store, because it's important to have competition. Competition keeps the prices low. If you've taken marketing, business management in college, they teach antitrust laws were created to help balance out, and help small businesses, give them a chance, or mom and pop companies to come up, because these big major corporations have become, super conglomerates, and things can get far worse. And what they do is they buy up a lot of other mom and pop competitors and keep doing that, and it's not creating fair competition. And then they're having these monopolies where they're saying if there's something that doesn't coincide in favor of them with their political ideology, then they're trying to say it violates the community guidelines. Because that video was G-rated. There was no cursing, no profanity that was used. These are most upscale, astute people. These were doctors going public, some of the most respected professional people having a press conference. So where are we in the Soviet Union now? What are we in North Korea? That's what communism, socialism leads to full-fledged communism. For them to take the videos down is ridiculous. So the last site I'm gonna mention is bitshoot.com, spelled B as in boy, I as in Icarus, T as in Tom, C as in cup, H as in help, U as in universe, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, www.bitshoot.com. So I went over brighteon.com, dan.video, and bitshoot.com. I also went over minds.com, which I'm on. I reposted the video, but I do know BitShoot, Brighteon, and band.video both have that video reposted on there. So you guys can go there and see it. These are growing sites. You want to make sure you create a username, encourage your family members, loved ones, friends. So you have alternatives backup. So Google, Facebook, and Twitter and these other tech companies are not having authoritarian monopoly to suppress free speech, freedom of speech, what is supposed to be protected under your First Amendment right. And this is what they have been doing. It's a form of election meddling. In my opinion, this is tampering. This is what the Russia collusion they make up. This coming from the big tech companies, by the way. That's what what it's about, by the way. They're just trying to turn it into something else. So I'm gonna get back to the chat before I get ready to shut things down, guys. To you guys' comments. I'm gonna have to roll through quick because I gotta head in a little bit. Okay, so expected to pop. Okay, I got that. Listen to Kenneth's story and follow Pimpy's investments. I saw a video recently that Currency 365 had posted. And I saw a video a long time ago from Kenneth's story. I didn't know he was still around, or maybe I didn't subscribe to his channel. Maybe for a few years ago, he did a video that I saw that helped give a good opinion from different perspectives about the whole global currency reset. Kudos to the person in the previous video. I can't remember if it was you, Joseph, that put me up on Charlie Ward. He had good information. I didn't know who he was. Subscribe to his channel as well. He had, I think he has maybe a website out there. He had excellent information, these top intel providers. So appreciate that. Kenneth Story has excellent info. 7100 Warwick says, hey, brother, good to see you. I tell people to check that website to truly see the shit we're in. Okay. Thanks. Not sure which website you're talking about, 7100 Warhawk, but kudos. Good seeing you again. Thank you for joining. Joseph Overton says, Lynette Zane is good too. Okay, I'm going to have to check out Lynette Zane. I think I've heard the name before. Gerald Jokes, how you doing? Good, brother. Appreciate you. He says, by the way, silver has gone up to $38 here in Canada. Okay, wow. Maybe I'm wondering, is that with the premium added? I'm not sure what the difference is in countries. I do know about the premiums. That's like an unofficial tax, a little sub fee, a surcharge you pay on top of the bullion, by the way. Coins 1964 and back are 90% silver, 1965 forward are 40%. Yes, like the Kennedy half dollars, by the way. If there's a certain year that it stopped in the 70s, from what I understand, when they went to using the other metals, when they even stopped using a 40%. But yes, junk silver is good. It's important to have a combination. Galactic Soul says it's all good. Gerald Jokes says $38 an ounce. Forget to mention that. Grab that dong. Okay. Joe Jake says, got it. Joseph Owen says, don't sell the drop. It's a ploy to get the speculators to sell on the cheap. Okay. Yep. The Chinese are selling fake gold. I did hear about, I watched a video from a guy, by the way, that showed how they were selling fake, how to detect fake silver or whatever. He mentioned don't buy fake silver eagles if it says it comes from China, especially on eBay. You really want to go to an official coin dealer or shop in person, someone that's knowledgeable, because you have to be careful. The reason I stay away from the bars, even though the bars have a smaller premium attached to them, is because there was a lot of counterfeiting going on with the bars, and it's important to know how the silver sounds, to have it weighed. It's not supposed to stick to a magnet, from what I understand. You know, there's a little bit of metal that's put in there to make it harden, but it's not supposed to just, if it sticks to a magnet, like say if this remote was a magnet, if the silver sticks like that, like real quick, but it's not supposed to, like, it's supposed to be more like loose, then it's a chance you may be dealing with a fake. And it's a lot of newbies jumping into this. I don't really have the time. I have to go over that in a separate video, but just be mindful of, it's a lot of newbies jumping in and they're not aware. It's like, make sure you put on a life vest, because you have a lot of you got people with bad intentions and what do you call them, counterfeiters out there, by the way, con artists and stuff. So it's important to watch out for that. Joseph Overson says common law express trust. Joseph says me not selling cheap. Thanks, Joseph. Gerald says show enough, bro. Ghost Protocol, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I'm here, Galactic Soul. Come on, people, donate for this information. Appreciate you, Gerald. Thank you. Cool says it's okay, Dorsey. We are in the cycle for payment of our services. Appreciate you. Gerald Jilk says thanks, man. Appreciate it. Joseph Overson says a servant is worthy of their hire. Thank you guys for agreeing. Appreciate you. Gerald Jilk says yup. Joseph says look for me on Facebook. Look for a shark. You will understand. Cheetah Renee says peace and power to you, brother. You've been keeping the flow real for years. Respects. Thanks for being you. Thank you. Appreciate you for sharing that, the positive encouragement. Gerald says, just to let you know, yes, brother, in this crazy times, it's best to educate yourself. Thanks again. Well, thank you guys for joining. I wanted to come before you guys a little bit earlier. Apologize. I was under the weather last week. My seasonal allergies kicked in heavily from last Tuesday through Thursday. As I was recovering, I did send a message. I appreciate you guys who responded on YouTube to try to update you guys when I do another video, by the way. So I was feeling better. I said I needed to come before you guys because I did promise this past Monday and didn't work out, or Monday. But I'll try to come before you guys, more often. So I appreciate you all. Until next time, I'll try to go longer. While I have more time to answer questions that you all have. I see just got a super chat in from Galactic Soul, $10. Appreciate you, Galactic Soul. All the super chats, donations. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Facebook, of course, at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource. I'm also on Minds.com. Down the road soon, I'll be working on trying to get to these other platforms like I went over because of the censorship that's going on. So you guys will still be able to find me, be under the name Dorsey's Resource. I've contemplated down the road if I'm going to continue to use that name, but I know for you guys to still find me. Anita Amaro says, where do we send it at? Anita, you can, to answer your question real quick, I do have the Cash App link connected to my page. If you go to my channel, I'm going to have to work on down the road, just giving you guys a heads up, update in regards to contacting me privately for private coaching in regards to what happened recently. I won't go over that again. You can go over this video once it finishes uploading, and I do go over the reason why, and I'm making these changes coming. I do appreciate you all for following me. I am going to continue down the road to put out the free information as well. Then I have like more additional stuff down the road, down the line. So with that being said, guys, I'm your host, John Dorsey. I want to thank you guys for joining me sincerely. And kudos to you guys. Also, subscribe if you can to Currency 365. He's been a supporter of my channel. Kudos to the work that he's doing, as well as others out there. And once again, you can follow me. I am on YouTube at Dorsey's Resource, Facebook, Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, also Minds.com. You can find me on. And until next time, appreciate you all. Take care.